My parents sent me a text message right as my 6-year-old daughter Lily and I were pulling into the airport parking lot. They told me not to come to Thanksgiving dinner because my daughter is embarrassing and my golden child sister needed a drama-free day. I had already paid for non-refundable plane tickets and arranged my entire holiday schedule around them. Instead of begging for their approval or crying over their cruel decision, I turned our car around and took immediate action. 2 weeks later, when my parents saw my daughter and me standing on their doorstep alongside the sheriff, their faces went completely pale because they realized I had just bought their entire property out from under them. For as long as I can remember, my younger sister Clara was the absolute center of my parents' world. Every achievement of mine was minimized, while Clara was showered with praise, financial support, and endless affection. When I put myself through college by working 2 jobs, my parents barely acknowledged my graduation. When Clara dropped out of art school, they bought her a brand new car to cheer her up. I accepted this dynamic years ago and built a successful career in commercial real estate development. I worked hard, made smart investments, and eventually built a solid life for myself and my 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Lily is on the autism spectrum and is deeply gentle, thoughtful, and expressive, though she sometimes gets overwhelmed in crowded or loud environments. This year, my mother spent weeks insisting that Lily and I fly home for Thanksgiving. She claimed she missed us and wanted the family together. I hesitated at first, but eventually gave in, buying expensive last-minute flight tickets and taking time off from work. We packed our bags, loaded the car, and drove to the airport. Right as I was looking for a parking spot at the terminal, my phone buzzed with a text message from my mother. It read, "Do not come to Thanksgiving. Lily is embarrassing and her behavior is too unpredictable. Your sister Clara has had a stressful year and needs a peaceful, drama-free holiday. Stay home." I sat in the idling car for a long moment, staring at the screen. Lily was in the back seat, holding her favorite stuffed bunny. Excited to see her grandparents, the rejection stung, but for the first time in my life, I felt a total sense of clarity instead of sadness. I did not cry, nor did I send an angry text reply. I turned the car around, took Lily out for a fun afternoon at a local indoor park, and checked into a luxury hotel for a quiet, wonderful weekend together. But behind the scenes, I went straight to work. My parents had been living in a large country house on 5 acres of land for over 20 years. What they never knew was that they did not actually own the land beneath their house. They had been leasing the property on a 30-year land agreement from an elderly neighbor named Mr. Harrison. The lease agreement contained a clause stating that if Mr. Harrison decided to sell the land, the current leaseholders had 30 days to match any written offer or vacate the property. My parents had always assumed Mr. Harrison would eventually leave the land to them in his will, but they were severely delinquent on their lease payments for the past 6 months. Through my real estate network, I contacted Mr. Harrison directly the very next morning. He was frustrated with my parents' unpaid debts and ready to liquidate his real estate holdings. I offered him a full cash purchase for the entire 5-acre parcel, well above market value, with a fast closing timeline. Within 48 hours, the contract was signed. I was now the sole legal owner of the land my parents' home sat on. Because their lease was past due and breached, I instructed my legal counsel to immediately issue an official eviction notice and a demand to clear the land. 2 weeks later, on a chilly Saturday afternoon, I drove back to my hometown with Lily in the passenger seat. I brought along a county sheriff deputy to enforce the formal notice. As we pulled into the driveway, my mother and sister Clara walked out onto the porch, looking smug, assuming I had come back to apologize or beg for their forgiveness. My father followed closely behind them. My mother crossed her arms and said, "We told you not to come back here. You are not welcome after the scene you tried to cause on Thanksgiving." I stepped out of the car, held Lily's hand, and walked up the steps calmly. I handed my father the official land deed and the court-ordered eviction notice. The sheriff stepped forward and confirmed that the documents were fully legally binding. My father's hands shook as he read through the papers. My mother's jaw dropped, and Clara started stammering in disbelief. "You don't own this house anymore," I said quietly, looking my mother dead in the eye. "You have 30 days to pack your things and move out off my property. Next time you decide to ban my daughter for being embarrassing, remember whose land you are standing on." They tried to call, text, and leave fleeting voicemails over the following weeks, but I blocked their numbers and let my legal team handle every interaction. I later sold the land to a commercial residential builder for a massive profit, leaving my parents with nowhere to go except a tiny rental apartment that Clara had to help pay for. They finally learned that mistreating my daughter had real consequences. Looking back, that rejected Thanksgiving turned out to be the best holiday of my life. It cut the final cord of toxic family expectations and allowed me to protect my daughter from people who never truly loved us. Today, Lily is thriving in a family environment built on unconditional love, respect, and firm boundaries. Never let anyone make you feel small or unwanted, especially the people who were supposed to care for you the most. Standing up for yourself and your children is always worth it.